Broadcast live.
So welcome to the first episode of Luch on Live. I'm taking over the balcony interviews for the month of August, definitely going into September. And I'm kicking it off with the flyest and the coolest and the baddest ladies in the game. They're running the hip-hop space and they're actually like besties, right? Can I call you guys the hip-hop pop-up girls?
Yes.
Who's Buttercup?
Huh? I'm Buttercup.
Really? Who's the other one? Who's the other
You're
one?
the angry one.
Ah, wow.
And you can be the smart.
That's Buttercup. Buttercup
Yes.
is the angry one.
The green one.
Oh,
Then
the
you're
green one.
you're
No, I'm
definitely-
Bubbles.
I think I know
Definitely.
Buttercup because
You're
I was
definitely
Buttercup in my
Bubbles.
life.
Yeah. You're Buttercup.
Blossom.
I'll go with it.
You're Blossom.
Blossom.
Okay, I'll be Bubbles.
And then angry.
Confused
I'm not angry.
Buttercup.
I'm just honest. There's nothing wrong with honesty in life.
Okay.
Sometimes people need to hear it.
That's right. Also known obviously as Miss Cosmo Rouge and Moozlie. How you ladies doing?
Good on you.
Should I expose how late or how must I let you guys be?
But keep it. When I
But
know.
keep it.
But keep it.
Anybody gotta know.
Ain't nobody gotta know.
Anybody gotta know.
It's just the rap life, right? I must just let you have it.
That means
And
we're
to be
on.
honest, let's be honest. Who's the most punctual of all of us? Me.
I will. Real. No, she is. Let's be honest. Look at the
am.
anger already.
I am. I was only late
If
because I
we're
was
being
trying to
honest.
buy Rouge sometime.
But then
But when I got you, I tailed
you were
off.
disloyal. So disloyal.
So I've obviously watched you guys operate individually as a DJ and as rappers. But in the last year and a half, I think, going on to 2 years, I've seen you guys really come together and become real friends, which is a very rare thing in hip-hop, and I think in the industry in general. You don't see that. You see friendships blossom for 2.5 seconds and then everybody goes their separate ways. But you guys have kept it together. So was it like natural, or did you guys like, okay, actually we're in hip-hop, let's stick together, let's make this money together, let's forget everybody else?
I think I'll kind of throw myself in it there first. I think we all had like different types of friendships that kind of then came together. I had been really good friends with Moozlie for a while, way back when she was still presenting, even before she started rapping. So her and I friendship actually spans back to back then. And it was just a natural friendship. I think Moozlie is like maybe one of the nicest people in the industry. I
I
think
met
if you
Miss
meet
Cosmo
her,
in Spooder's hotel room.
wow, I'm stressed. I don't remember this. Wow.
It wasn't a threesome, but she was in his hotel room.
You're gonna have to like explain, cause I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay, they'll continue this
All I
thing,
remember with Moozlie, she's just always been nice. She's always just been like, oh my gosh, Miss Cosmo, hey, you're so dope, whatever. It's like, oh, why is this girl like so amazingly nice? And I was like, okay, cool, I like her energy. And that's where our friendship kind of blossomed from there. And obviously then she took things a little bit further when she joined Cash Time and then got into the hip hop industry. So our friendship kind of spans from back there.
Yeah.
They obviously came together separately. I'm not too sure if it happened because of Momo Zaga, but obviously my relationship with Rouge came through Moozlie.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know her directly until that collaboration happened. Yeah.
Yeah, Rouge and I actually met officially. The first time I saw Rouge perform was at Taboo, not to, like way back then. I don't even know if you remember that. But AKA was also there at the same time, and he was on the other side of the room.
Yes, that's
And
yeah.
So crazy how the universe works out. But that was the first time I saw her perform. I was like, okay, cool, dope chick. I see her doing a thing. And then we did Baddest Remix together. Yes. And I think that's where we kind of formed a friendship.
Yes.
We weren't even friends at that stage. I think we just realized, like, I like you, you like me, we're cool.
Yeah.
She's not going to take my head off with the bars. It's okay. But then when she was doing Mbongo Zaga, I think she wanted to do something a little bit different because she is such a strong MC.
Yeah.
She kind of wanted to move away from doing songs with dudes and just kind of highlight somebody else for a change. And I'm really glad that she gave me that opportunity, because from that day, literally from that day, I went into studio with her onwards, like we've been inseparable.
Homies ever since.
But it's also because they're like twins, because their birthdays are like 4 days apart.
That is true.
Yes, they don't
Both
realize
92
this.
baby.
Yes, they're
Oh
both
my
92.
gosh.
She's
And
got,
the
like,
youngins,
just had
92.
like the most management issues at the same time. Like when I was leaving Cash Time, she was also like
Dealing with my own.
Yeah, that's why Momo Zaga was like, we're crying on that song because we were so angry. We were like, just listen to us, please. So that's kind of where it started. I don't remember when we like all kind of met, but I really do believe that if I like you and you like, there's a like-mindedness that happens. You know what I mean? Even with your friends like Sia, like we all get along. You know what I mean? Just like-minded people kind
You
of
want your
get
people
along.
to get along.
Yeah.
No one must feel awkward.
I think
and out of
I think
place.
like I genuinely think it came down to the thing of, because I know there's a lot of talk of This is just for TV.
Yes.
This is just for music. It's like, guys, we genuinely
This is genuine.
talk to each other. We genuinely call each other. We genuinely care about each other. You know what I mean? It's not even about our careers. We really just formed an awesome friendship.
So at least
with one
there's
another.
people that you respond to on your phone. You know?
Yeah,
Okay.
when she feels like it.
Why are you like this? Okay.
That's if you're important at the top
Okay.
of my list. No, she blue ticks us also. Hey, don't worry.
No,
It's
I
not
very
just
much
you.
blue tick. So now
You
you
know
know
what? Actually, I'm the same person. I'm the worst. Like, if
Yeah.
you're trying to get a hold of me on text on my phone, like,
Friend, you're not even on
block
WhatsApp,
and
you, bruh.
Yeah,
You
actually.
like bringing me
Because
back to
why
the
is
SMS
anybody?
game.
Why is anybody on WhatsApp? Can you spend a couple of cents
Because
on
there's
me? How
people
much
who
is
have
an
Android
SMS? Like
phones who
75?
also are gonna give you business.
Guys, Loot is bringing
But
us
not
back
on
to
WhatsApp.
SMS.
You're not gonna give me
goodness.
business on WhatsApp.
Guys, but a whole SMS, guys.
I
Shoot,
Rouge.
nah.
Also, Rouge is the cheap one.
The cheapest. Rouge is the cheapest of us all.
Guys, I have to call Loot with airtime. What is this?
What do you want to call her?
But you can FaceTime me.
WhatsApp
From
call.
You can FaceTime me.
No, she can't.
Buy yourself an iPhone so you can FaceTime.
Oh, let's not show phones.
This is a genuine friendship in case you ever actually wanted it in your life.
Fine, they're gonna give you a deal.
They're gonna give you a
Don't worry.
deal.
They're gonna
You
give you
know,
a deal.
they're popping
No,
right
no,
now.
no.
She's already got a hectic deal.
She's
She's
the
iPhoning
nice one. She's
already.
already
Like-
trying to fix the fight. Hey, what's this thing?
So let's bring it back. Hip hop power puffs.
Yes.
So let's talk about you guys' individual journeys. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you have to explain exactly how you guys got involved in the industry. One, fully, and two, how you got into hip hop. You know, why you chose this particular thing. I mean, you could have chosen anything. Just
Yeah.
made your life easier, especially such a male-dominated, really uncomfortable space for any kind of woman. Do you know what I mean? So how did you guys start that journey?
I know for me it wasn't planned. For me, I was not trying to get into the hip hop game at all. I wanted to do musical theatre. Like, that is, film and theatre has always been my love. I studied it. And it was actually through a friend who was like, girl, you have a voice for rap. Have you ever tried? And I was like, no. Stop
We're not doing
forcing
this.
me, until I wrote that first verse after a long time of convincing. And it was after that. So that was when I was about 19, which I think it's late. I think we found our love for hip hop very late, because
I was
I think that's another thing
I
we
was
have in
late.
common.
it's like we found
Yeah.
it really late. Like, everyone is like, nah, I found it at 12, Nasty 9. Nasty in my mind in rap years, he's 80 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
He's really, like, you know, I feel like I found it really late for myself. But when I found it, I took my time. I think I took a good 2-3 years of really practicing. I don't believe in just jumping into something because it's hot right now. I really took the time to practice, to really get to know the craft, to find my flows. What flows do I struggle with, and all of that, until I was like, okay, now I can start putting out music on social media, not even just out there in general, really just starting to build that fan base, because I feel like hip hop is still something you need to respect. It's not something that you can just wake up in the
Skill.
morning and feel like you can just do it. It's really not that easy. You know,
Yeah.
which I feel a lot of people are starting to figure out when I look at social media and everyone's just posting and they're like, why aren't I popping right now? Because it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's really a process of really finding who you are as an artist, as a rapper, as a musician, and then you can decide you can make that decision of how you're going to start putting it out there to create that fan base for yourself who likes that type of sound. So yeah.
That's tough. Moozlie, we know your journey, girl.
Yeah, man. For me, like, it obviously just started via MTV, you know.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Joburg, hip hop was cool, but I was like super house head. Like, I was paid to do it before I was paid to do it.
She doesn't speak as
What do
this
you
one.
mean?
Namuzi,
I
yo,
would
when I met
break
Namuzi,
it to happen.
Like on top of speakers.
Oh, you guys don't know.
on top underneath.
Do you understand
tree.
Shogoloza? Do you see that era of Shogoloza?
Guys, I can't
Oh,
even
you
see
must
I was
Oh,
the
gosh.
queen of that era of Shogoloza.
That time she's like young Miss Benoni there, beauty pageant queen,
Oh yes, yeah.
breaking it down.
Yeah,
Chocolate.
you know, and then obviously I started working at MTV, and then I just met so many different people and interesting people who were like fully immersed in South African hip hop culture, you know. And I think besides just being a television presenter, just to be a person in this culture, you have to stand for something. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You really have to have something that you believe in and something that you're passionate about. And loving music is great. Every human being loves music, but you have to kind of zone in on something, you know.
Yeah.
And for me, when when that 2012, 2013 period was happening of hip hop, we were starting to see hip hop coming to take over. I was like, this is dope. Like, I don't know
Right.
what this is. I just felt it on the inside of me, you know?
Yeah.
And I really just started to become a voice for hip hop, whether it was with artists, whether it was with fans, whether I was on stage. I was like a voice for hip hop. And ultimately, because I loved it so much, and every time I was hosting with DJ Speedster and DJ Capital, like we used to have a crew called For Play Media.
Yep.
And I used to host for them. They would play, I would host. And I think VG was just like, yo, I mean, you kind of look
Look
you're
the
doing
part,
your thing,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Have you ever thought about doing music? I was like, not really, but let's do it. I don't know. It just made sense, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just know. Like sometimes the universe will speak to you, and you will just be able to respond in that way. But like Rouge is saying, it wasn't something where I just decide today. Okay, today I'm a rapper. Tomorrow I put out a song. Like I think I was just in studio, just listening to other people rapping for like a good 8 months. Before KO even let me say no on the microphone. Like, you know,
And he was the toughest, right?
he was really, really the toughest, you know, and it kind of grew from there. Like I really took my time. Obviously, after I left Cash Time, like my whole thing got super duper serious. But even then, after I left, my whole thinking was like, okay, now I'm gonna put out the album. It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna show them, and then life said, relax. Just learn, just take your time. And you know, that's what I did. Eventually put out the mixtape, also in that learning process. And only now, like 2 years after opening my own label, 4 years after first picking up the pen, am I about to put out my first album.
And people gave you a lot of flack for deciding to do hip hop. Like a lot of people are like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
You're just this TV star. You think you can just get into this rap game? And I applaud you actually for not letting it go. And I don't know if you got this letter from Fred Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really beautiful. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I wanted to read it out because I thought it was really, really dope. And please don't judge my reading skills. I mispronounced something. I'm black. Okay? You know what? I tried to practice this earlier on, and now I'm gonna go through it all. So, okay, all the best. Let me just get the right angle. Okay, so a letter to Moozlie from Fred Kayembe. So he says, I remember very vividly in 2015 the public perception when you, a superstar from MTV-based VJ at the time, had decided you were going to take on rap music. It went from, well, she's hot, we like seeing her on our screens, besides, this is a phase, let's just humor her. And then upon realizing that you were dead serious, things quickly turned to, who the fuck does she think she is? Just because she's on TV, she thinks she can rap now. I don't know if you're ready for it. I don't know if you understood that the core community of hip-hop consumers were more concerned with rappers earning their stripes right, at least back then, than they were about star quality. I don't know if you knew that hip-hop had the most critical audience of any consumable subculture and genre of music, and I don't know if it occurred to you that if this is the word that threw me off, if the Gorgoton, I think, right, load that every woman bears just by virtue of being born with 2 X chromosomes tip the scale against your favor in life, and entering the rap arena would probably make that load heavier. I don't know if you stopped to think about any of that, but you know what? I always admired that you did it anyway and have been doing it ever since in spite of all of it. Call it self-belief or call it delusion, but that immaterial quality you displayed in transitioning your career in 2015 is what I found myself attempting to harness a year later when I made the decision against everyone and their mama's advice to leave a job of my dreams as hype editor to explore my creativity more diversely. The fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty that comes with leaving a lucrative comfort zone at a point when people consider that to be your peak, and to enter a space of not knowing is something that not everybody can handle. And when I found myself there a year later, I grew to appreciate you for being able to embody that quality with poise and strength far beyond the music and the persona. Thank you.
Wow.
Big up.
How beautiful.
What an amazing letter.
What an amazing letter, and also who it comes from is very
Yeah.
nice.
Wow. So sincere as well. I think
Yeah.
that's what I love about Fred is that he always tries to kind of see everybody in the industry for the good of who they are.
Yeah,
Like he'll dig deep and he'll take his time to actually research. He won't just create a judgment on first look of whoever you are. He'll always go in and be like, actually, this is where this person comes from. This is where they are right now. This is where they're going, and he can then take the appreciation out of that. He's an amazing person.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it was really dope. He actually sent me a text before that came out to be like, I wrote your letter just by the way, don't think it's weird. And You know, sometimes people like get a little bit scared, like, oh gosh, you're warning me, it's gonna be weird. But
Yeah.
Fred actually wrote the first hip hop article about me in Hype magazine ever. Like, I had 12 bars on the streets when I was already doing a photo shoot with Rouge, with Nutty in a car, Gigi Lemaine, Fifi Cooper.
It was all of us actually.
Yeah,
because,
you
that
were
was the
also
first.
there.
That was the first time I met Rouge.
Yes.
Yes, and Rouge came in late as usual with her big hair, but she was there, and we met her for the first time. Well, I met her for the first time at that shoot.
It's okay, you're allowed.
So shout out to, and that was like, it's so crazy. That letter also came on a day and in a week and in a time where I needed to be reminded of how far I've come, because I
Right.
think sometimes I get so caught up in where I am now, where I'm trying to go, what I'm trying to do. Oh my gosh, let me get this done. Like, I actually forget to just stop and be like, damn girl,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
did
Shout
it,
out.
and you're still here, you know. And for me to like still be one of the leading voices of just hip hop, not even being a female in hip hop,
Music
but
in general.
just being one of the leading voices of the culture for me is something that I really do pride myself on. So it also just goes to show that you can do it, you know. Just block out the noise and do what it is that you want to do
Don't
and work
listen
hard.
to nobody.
Yeah,
telling
but
you
trust me,
nothing.
it wasn't easy. Like, I knew it would be hard, but when I was there, I was like, oh shit, man.
Oh no, maybe I should just go back to
The thing is,
TV.
even for me, I remember even when I had left my 9 to 5.
What are you doing before?
I was
She's
a banker.
Go, you
Imagine.
No, there's no money at the bank. I can tell you that right now. There's no money unless you're in management, and if you're not in management, you're not making money.
That's
you're making
wild,
other people money.
right.
You're working with a lot of money, but it ain't yours, mama. So it's actually such a, like, it messes with you because you're busy sending out millions every week, and you're like, hey, look at my salary. It stresses your own life. But it was one of those weird things for me, because obviously I studied finance. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know what I want to do for myself. As I graduated and then started at the bank, was at that moment where, well, prior to my actually starting at the bank, people had suggested to me, why don't you get into DJing? Why don't you get into this? Do something different because you've got such a good ear for music. Funny enough,
Yeah,
I've
she used to
actually
make
got a
killer
story.
mixtapes.
So when I was in high school, I used to make a lot of compilations.
Yeah.
Because you know, you buy an album and you're like, track 2 and 3,
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
But 4 and 5 is heat.
one.
You ain't doing that no more though, right?
No, I don't do those anymore. So I used to collect a lot of songs and obviously make compilations, and I used to have like a stack of CDs. And I started building that from high school on all the way through to varsity, and it would sit in my car. So obviously every time we had road trips, we had rides or whatever, that would kind of be what we would play in the back. So there was this one faithful trip that I took. At the time, I was really close friends with Boogie, my boy, before she started styling. And at the time when she was still dating Kuli Chana. They did it for a long time. So Kuli was still on his up and up. He was just trying to break away from Morafi, trying to be like solo artist vibes. And we took a road trip, spontaneously enough as well, to Taung, the most random place in the world. It's in the dust of the Northwest. But shout out to Taung, we'll be back in December. Anyway. So we took a road trip, obviously on the road, busy playing all the compilations. Kuli's just like, how? Yes, Noni, you know, you've got a bit of an ear for this thing. Why don't you, you know, consider this DJing thing? I was like, DJing? I was like, nah, that's not my thing. He's like, really, you should consider it. But don't go to all these other funny DJ schools. You must go somewhere where they'll treat you right, because these guys are just going to hit on you the whole day. I was stressed now. Now I'm like, now where am I going to go now? What DJ is going to teach me? And at that point, that's actually where I found Fuse Academy. That's actually the reason why I went to Fuse Academy. Because Kuli said, don't go to the boys' school because the boys are
You're
going
gonna
to
waste your time.
So I was like, okay. Uncle Kuli said I must go for the girls, so that's where I found Fuse Academy and I took my lessons. So as I was working, I was then double timing and then taking the lessons. Working, grinding, and that's why I also feel like I started late, because I started when I started my job. It was after varsity, and I also feel like, oh man, I should have started this thing way before. But at the time that I did, I guess timing happened when it happened. Obviously then at that moment then joined YTKO, which was really out of the blue. I literally got a phone call and they were like, yo, we're starting a new feature, we need a female DJ, let's rock.
Yeah.
At that point I think I'd been DJing maybe say for about like 10 months. I was like, oh, okay, sharp, let's go. I didn't have any credentials, I wasn't even ready, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna learn on the job. Some of my mixes also a bit tricky sometimes. And they were live on radio.
It was the first 10 months.
And I was like, yay, this is tricky.
No!
What?
And you used to play My Ball Thursday night.
Yes.
Yes.
No, but that was my
Her
first.
and
Like,
Krista used to suck, guys.
that was my first residency.
Yes.
That was my first residency. Was my ball on a Sunday, And I remember, shout out to Teebs, he gave me my first break because of that. Teebs was doing the Sundays at my bar, and he was like, no, man, you know, you're trying this thing out, let's give you a shot. Obviously, my mixing was horrible.
Yeah.
But I think what Teebs liked was my track selection.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of kept me going, and I kept practicing. Got onto YTKO, also that, started practicing, unfortunately live on radio, but you know, I got better with time. Even with the channel or with the basement video mixes. Video mixing is not the same as audio mixing.
Yeah.
I hope people understand that. Because you're then mixing visually and you're mixing audio and you are then stressed because it's going to recording. So even channel O was a whole other ball game for me as well. But it kind of got to where I am today, and I'm quite excited about the fact. I mean, like Moozlie is reflecting, and you're sitting back and you're like, I left an actual job where you on the 20th
Getting a salary,
to now having to hustle and chase people for money, but I'm still here, so I'm quite excited about that. It's been 5 years since I left, and
You've done a lot in 5 years. That's crazy.
So crazy, like when you listen to all of our stories, and I think it's just so true of females in hip hop in general. We learn so much of the job, on the job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when we're inside, and it's simply, I think it is because of a lack of opportunities. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like once you get that opportunity, you have to get it. You have to go. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes we pick it up a little bit later because of that. And it's so dope. Learning on the job is cool sometimes.
Learning on the job is cool, but also learning on the job with men around you all the time is very difficult. Especially men who just see you as pieces of meat.
Yeah.
Especially men who just want to get it in because you're fly, you got a booty, you got this, you got that. People take advantage of you, like how Kuli was advising you to not go to a guy because it's going to waste your time, and just try be your man as opposed to actually helping you with the skill. How difficult has it been for you guys, and how hard did you have to work for people to just actually see you as a DJ and as a rapper, and not some fly girl who's just trying to be in the rap game, or not some baddie who we could just throw into a video? And I mean, respect is a very important thing. Do you know what I mean? And how maybe aggressive have you had to be to just make it know, like, yo, man, don't waste my time. I'm here to work, just like you.
I think for me, the difficult part came in when I actually joined 5FM. I think prior to that, it was all just like, it felt gimmicky. Like, oh, she's a girl, oh, she's DJing, okay, cool, put her on. Because at the time, no other female was kind of doing the DJing thing in hip-hop.
Right.
I mean, obviously, in house music, there was Sinclair, there was Sindo, there were the old other girls who were kind of like killing it. And they're like, oh, she's playing hip-hop, that's pretty dope. And the guys were actually supporting me. I think also because I'd known them prior to my starting to DJ. So the likes of VG, Nave, Spectacular, they tried to help me out. Dimples is a big supporter of mine as well. So shout out to the boys. But the tougher part, I think, for me, transitioned when I actually got into radio. Because at that point, I was also picking up where C Live had dropped. Because that's where I had joined 5FM wanting to get onto radio. At the time, they were actually offering me a different type of show. At that point, it was literally like within a space of 2 weeks, C Live was then leaving 5. Then they were like, yo, we just hired a new hip hop DJ. Let's be progressive. Let's hire the girl to actually do the hip hop show. And I was like, dope, I get to speak about hip hop every weekend. Sharp. No radio experience whatsoever. I was like, we'll learn on the job. I've been doing it.
That's right.
YTKO, Channel O. Here's another one.
That's right.
Another
But
one.
now
Let's
it's
go.
radio.
But now it's tough because you're
Exactly.
picking up from where C Live had dropped.
Uh-huh.
And C Live had literally created a bit of a legacy with regards to that show.
He did.
The hard part about it is that everybody was just like, who's gonna play our songs? What does she know about hip hop? She doesn't know the history of hip hop. What is she gonna do for us? This girl doesn't even know where she's from.
But do you
She's
even
not even
know me,
hood.
though?
Nobody knew who I was. And on top of it, radio experience is zero, which just made it even worse. Because now I'm learning on the job, trying to get the links right, trying to be able to explain what I'm doing. But I think what kept me going was the fact that, and I know people are afraid of bad feedback. I thrive on it personally, because if you're telling me I'm screwing up, it's giving me something to work on.
Right.
I'm taking it, and the tweets would come flooding in.
You just opened up the floodgates now, girl.
The tweets would come flooding in all the time. This girl, why is she doing this? This girl sucks. See Live, come back. They would tweet him all the time. And I'd be like, sharp guys, now what you've done is, yes, you've broken me down, but you've also given me a challenge. I'm not going to sit back and act like you guys are going to take this away from me. I earned this job.
Exactly.
And I'm going to keep this job.
Right.
Watch me show you.
Right.
Continuously worked on it to the point where I am today. We have been on the radio show for 5 years, firstly. Secondly, I've created a lot more content on that radio show, and I've helped build a lot of artists on that show as well. So I'm quite happy about what I've achieved on that show. Whether you believe me, whether you think it's not worthy of anything, that's up to you. But I know I've done what I've had to do for the culture because of that show. Why? Because I love hip hop.
Right.
Broadcast live